what therefore really starts, and maybe, I won't say threatens you, but then starts really worrying you as a co-founders of this great company. What really, I mean, this is something that you don't want to see. This is something you don't want to hear. So are there one or two things that you think, I mean, we don't want to see it. So therefore, you actually preempt everything, every such event, or maybe an action, or maybe happening, whatever you call it. But then your entire life journey is going to be preempting all such, the so-called unpleasant events or happenings, or whatever you call it. So what can be those one or two things?
I would say, I would say there are two things. Number one, what's really, really, again, what keeps me up at night is customers and consumers not being happy with BabyChakra. Right? That is something that really concerns me, because if we can't even keep our current customer base happy, we will never be able to keep our future customer base happy, right? So that is something that's critical to everything we do.
You never want to see that.
And therefore we preempt, we try to make it a delightful experience at every level to the best of our current abilities, right?
So just to take off from what you said, so it's all about experience, not a transaction. That's what I mean.
Yes, right now it's about the experience. Yes,
all about experience.
It's about building relationships also, right? You want to build a relationship with consumers and customers, with services and with the mothers, right? You have to build those relationships. You can't genuine. You can't just have a very transaction-oriented, relationship.
I think that really collaborates what you said in the beginning, that you're not looking for monetizing every transaction. You're looking for building the faction, building this entire ecosystem. That's fine. So that's number one, that you don't want to see it. What can be the second one, maybe?
I think the second is just to not build out the correct team. It's critical, because right now if you think about what is a venture? It's nothing but the team, right? If you don't build out the correct team, if you don't build out people who have the correct motivations, the correct value system, I think we're in for trouble.
So do you therefore, I mean, now that you have said that the team is one thing that might worry you, because so therefore do you keep looking out for some smoking signals that might be that, are they getting distracted? So do you keep looking out for, not that you're spying or policing kind of thing, but then maybe you get the vibes, right, that whether people are giving their best shot
all the time. So if people are getting disheartened with, like, for instance, we just ran a campaign recently which didn't do as well, right? And the person who was leading the campaign was extremely disheartened, and then I literally sat her down and I said, but think about the stuff you did really well. You actually did this campaign for the first time. You rallied the team around implementing the campaign. We got the hits that we did because of the campaign, right? So think about what you did well, and now let's think about what we can do better going forward. Let's learn from what didn't work. Right?
So I think disheartening is, I think again going back to connect with the dots. The word is all about somebody, because somebody is taking ownership and therefore he or she's
absolutely, and that actually was the best thing for me to observe. That someone absolutely, I think it's a great insight actually, because I was really thrilled to see her that disheartened in a way, because that means she cared enough. She cared enough.
I mean, somebody can say, I can afford. I've done my best to get it. But then somebody's feeling bad about it, that I couldn't deliver the result that you wanted, or maybe all of us wanted, and somebody's feeling very bad about it.
And Dr. Chaudhary, to your point, which is why we still have some team members who might not be the best fit for the role, but just because they have this strong sense of ownership and they have the spirit and they want to learn, I think that is what is inspiring for us as well as co-founders.
And the interesting thing is that the campaign in question here is actually a 30-day campaign, and we still have 13 days to go. So the campaign is not yet complete. We keep talking internally in terms of how effective it's been. Maybe it's not working, but we never shared our own thoughts or feelings about the campaign with the person who was running it. And it was really interesting to see her coming up and sharing her own sharing her own view of what the results are. And hey, I mean, maybe it's not working. Am I doing the right thing? So I mean, that's something which, in a way, really keeps us motivated as well. And I think the only other thing that we really worry about is we're taking responsibility for the people who are working with us, and that's something that also keeps us going, even if we are disheartened because of anything else, because of business or some successes here or there or milestones not being achieved. But we are leading a team of people who are leaving everything and are helping you to work on BabyChakra. So that's something that definitely bothers us, saying, BabyChakra has to become really big so that we can continue to build that army of people, and we can deliver on their trust.
Absolutely. So again, to generalize just the way we have been doing for the last 2-3 segments, is it good to say that one great signal that you really want to preempt is at your own personal level, that is, we don't have an equal to thermometer, which tells you that it's what do you say, so much temperature. So same kind of thing. So if there's something like entrepreneurship thermometer, in the sense that maybe when you started, you had this 100%. That's not like temperature, you don't want to see, but then here you definitely want to say 100%. And over the years, or maybe over the months or over the years, when you start applying that entrepreneurial thermometer, maybe if it comes down at your personal, maybe is that somebody actually has to test it even before I go to the team. So I'm talking about an entrepreneur or maybe the founder or the co-owner. They start thinking, do they have the same passion as I had in the beginning? Or is it coming down? For whatever reason it is, maybe because of you're not able to make the progress as you wished, and maybe you're not getting the traction you do. Whatever reason it may be, but is it good to think that at every point of time, I think it's good to reinvigorate oneself so that you are always focused and you're excited about, maybe like you rightly said, something bad, resilient about your own vision. So before you start attempting the rest of the world, and you will have every right to expect, but then first try to extract from you is the front entrepreneur himself. Is it right to say that? Yeah.
So
because that's what we say, the preempting.
Right.
This is something that, because at my own, at an individual level, this is something that then I start looking outside. So that, because ultimately it is a chemistry.
Right.
Because I am motivated, I walk the talk all the time. I'm infusing or fueling your thought process, and therefore you want to work with me. So therefore, as an entrepreneur, as a co-founder or as a founder CEO, that is it that I have to also keep testing my own interest levels. I'm saying, is it good to say that?
So I think people like people who are authentic, right? So, and they trust them, right? There are times when, of course, I think as a team you go to peaks and troughs, right?
Absolutely.
As long as you can over time maintain a stability and you don't come and you're not a dysfunctional team, right? I think that is sort of the temperature I would hold myself to be honest. Because if I was always very hyper or always very despondent with every little thing, yes, then I don't think that would be a normal situation for people to work with, right? Or for me to even think clearly about the venture. So at the same time, if you are despondent and you have to be authentic.
Right.
If things are not going well, it's no use sort of saying, oh, fantastic, everything is going great, when it's not, right? Because people can see that it's not going well.
Yeah.
So it's important to be authentic. I think it's essential to be genuine, otherwise people don't trust you.
Absolutely. So I think that's, having said that, I think let's go to the last one I would say for more of your time, is that what is, maybe each one of you would like you to respond, maybe it's very difficult to say numbers as such, but then at least 3 important entrepreneurial lessons that you've had in the last, since the time you hung up the boots of your own professional career and then got baptized into this wonderful thing. And then good to have somebody like you, so right brain, left brain kind of thing, it's working, right? So you sound well. So therefore, at an individual level, maybe at a broad level, 3 lessons, especially people like you who are, I think the India is seeing people like you coming to this pool of category, right? So who want to hang up the boat and then come into this entire space. So from that point of view, what can be 3 important lessons that people should be watch out for?
Yeah. So
and also maybe, and the second one that I would like to do is it good to say that before you enter into this kind of entrepreneurial thing, you must have at least, I know that is, I'll leave it to you. Do you suggest that people must have had some, maybe 5 to 10 years or maybe 6 to 8 years of hardcore professional experience? I mean, these are the 2 things that.
So the 3 things that I've learned over the last 9 months is, one is how to constantly strike the right balance between strategy and execution, because we could end up doing too much of each, which is not a good thing. So without
what's
elaborating,
your best bet? I'm sorry. So what's your best bet? I think she's an expert in strategy, having gone from Harvard. I think everybody teaches about strategy is a thing, but then there are a lot of people who say that 90% execution is 9 to 10% strategy is better than 90% strategy and 10% execution. So what is your point of view?
So I think for a startup company like ours, it's extremely important that strategy plays a large role.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I've worked with organizations before which are well established, and therefore in those organizations, execution is more important because everybody knows what the larger vision or strategy is. But here we are in a situation where we are responsible for defining the vision as well. So you cannot just go about executing things and move really fast, having to correct all the mistakes at one day when it becomes really difficult. Which is why I'm saying that's been a learning for me while working together in a team to align the vision more towards strategy as well and not just execution. So that's been a big learning for me. The second one I would think is being resilient, for sure, because the kind of situations that we face in a startup, no matter how despondent you might be in an organization that you're working for, because your boss said something to you that day. Ultimately, it's all external. It's not your organization. You're not doing it for yourself. You're working for somebody else. You're sharing somebody else's dream. And you do take a lot of ownership to be successful in no matter what you do. But after having gone through highs and lows in my own startup, I've realized that it's been nothing compared to what it used to be before. And therefore, resilience is something which I've definitely learned over a period of time. And I don't think I would have got that kind of learning in any other stage of life than now. And I think, largely the third thing is, from what I've learned, is that you have to be very practical in what you're doing. You have a dream, you have a vision, you need to be able to test it constantly, and if it's not working, then you need to be practical enough to tweak it. And that also comes from resilience to a certain extent, because if I started off with something, if I need to tweak it, I need to be resilient enough and practical enough to actually go the next mile with the same level of enthusiasm with which I started off the whole business.
Absolutely. So actually this one, I think to do that, I mean, just to add to what you're saying, to do the third one especially, somebody might say that you need to be absolutely non-egoistic. Because most of the time we end up defending our status quo. Because always, somebody might say, I mean, just change it because it's not working. But then at some point, maybe I take it very personally and say that, boss, let's do it. Because always I have the wrong hope. Therefore, is it good to have that ability, like we say sometimes like that, selectively flexible. To do that, somebody has to be really, again, like what we have said, very objective mind. What is required for the institution. So there is an individual agenda and there is an institutional agenda. So if I mix up, that individual agenda of the institution, so there can be wrong economics, absolutely worst economics, because I'm mixing up my, the individual agenda of the institution. So therefore, at some point, like you rightly said, I think people have to have the clarity to make corrections, course corrections over there.
Which is why the importance of defining milestones, which is why the importance of the whole strategy. If you're not defining it upfront, you could be going all over the place.
And you should enjoy that.
Exactly. And it's again, you move in extremes if you don't have a constant milestone to work towards. And sometimes what I've realized is that if you work from an ego, it will always come in the way of the organizational milestones. And because you define the milestones very clearly, sometimes it's just that external milestone that helps you come back on track.
Absolutely. I think maybe I like to share it for the record purpose. I think what I see a lot of people again is getting mixed up. I mean, a lot of people, I can tell you, almost like if you ask me, of course I won't say the number, but if you have to ask in percentage terms, almost about 95 to 96% is they mix up self-respect with ego. Ego is different from self-respect. Self-respect, yes, it's very good because you're confident and all that, but then, like we say, interference, involvement. There's a thin line of difference between involvement and interference, and also self-respect and ego. But then when somebody starts operating an ego problem, that's when, like you right, sometime back we say, it becomes very difficult for you to accept. Because first thing is that you accept that it needs a change. Then it comes a change. That because of ego, you will not do this. You will not accept that it needs a change. I think, with all fairness, I think it's a great learning. What's your idea about the second question that we asked in terms of the fact that should there be minimum years of experience before somebody can take a plunge into entrepreneurship? But we suggest for for the future people, saying, because now that you have seen, and you must have also have discussed with a lot of people, or you've heard a lot of people, and you've seen their experiences. Of course, may not be right word in one way of saying that you must have so many years of experience in so and so kind of companies and so you not necessarily that, but generally I'm saying, because we think it will widen the horizons of people who are planning to get into entrepreneurship.
So I don't think a certain number of years of experience is an absolute must.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I say that is because if you look at our backgrounds and what we're doing right now, it's completely alien to what we've done in the past. The inspiration might have been the same, the way we approach things in personal and professional life may be the same, but concept-wise, what BabyChakra is and what banking was, or what strategy and McKinsey were, are completely two different things.
Absolutely.
So, so in a way, I think somebody who joins the entrepreneurship journey straight out of college, it works really well for them sometimes because they start with an open
Clean
mind.
slate.
And I think that clean slate is extremely important when you are in the early 20s to have the ability to dream whatever your heart tells you to do. And I think over a period of time with people, it does you start to define yourself by way from your own experiences, from your own learnings.
Absolutely.
And that sort of reflects in the way you work as well. So my personal feeling would be it's not extremely important as the organization, but if one person in the entire organization, and it could be it may not necessarily be the co-founder, but somebody having solid years of experience in leadership,
Right.
who can then get entrepreneurs along with them to grow the organization, and those entrepreneurs could be really young.
Very
I
good.
think it can work really well.
Very good, very good. I think so. What you mean is entrepreneurs. You create, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are your 3 important lessons?
So, so I think the first lesson I just keep on telling myself is that business just comes first. Everything else is secondary. I think this sort of links back to the overall theme of what we were discussing right now. So whatever it takes for the business to be successful is what I need to focus on.
There's no free lunch.
There is no free lunch, right? So I think that's the first thing. So, and I would say, and then ego, to some extent self-respect, forget all that. Just think about the business, what is best for the business, right? So that's one. Number 2, don't underestimate the fact that you are building a team, that you're building out a vision for that team, that you're responsible for much, much more than just that transactional exchange you'll be doing with people who are supporting you through your journey, right? You have to invest tremendously in building relationships and building equations that will last you, maybe not for me, and businesses will come and go to some extent,
Okay.
but you need to invest in those relationships into the best that you can by people, because people will always remember you for what you did to them and not only the work you did with them, right? So I think that building relationships and being authentic in those relationships is absolutely key. Even as a company.
Yeah.
As a company, when people, I put up pictures all the time of Mitesh and me sort of building our own goodie bags or moving to a new office and all. I think people really relate to that human story behind the corporate facade, right? And that only a startup has the luxury of doing, right? So I think that is something I've really taken away, sort of that human relationship building, the authenticity. And I think third is that jump into entrepreneurship with eyes wide open. We might have just talked all about the passion and the vision and all of that. It's also a very practical decision you make. It changes the way you live. It changes.
The entire heuristics.
Absolutely, it changes your career. It
Right.
changes, who you are as a person. Right? You do things that are not naturally comfortable for you, like aggressively following a business development lead. So it changes you. So when you're getting into entrepreneurship, think about it very carefully. It's not all glamorous. It's not all, sexy. It's actually hard work, and it's sometimes a gut-wrenching journey. So think about it carefully, but of course, then when you decide to do it, then do it, because it's fantastic.
Absolutely. So again, coming back to the question that we had asked,
Yes.
do you suggest that people should have an experience, or do you think, forget it, because probably the third one that you said is, just close your eyes and just get into it, and therefore, you don't therefore need a professional experience kind of thing.
Right.
So what's your take on that?
No, I mean, so I would say this. I mean, I would say there is no right time to start a business. I mean, you can start any time. And in fact, like when my juniors reach out to me from law school or from McKinsey, and I'm like, just do it. It's the best ever. In fact, I've told people not to go to business school and start up ventures, and Harvard will probably slap me for it. But the point being that there is no right time, yes, but everyone goes through their own learning journey, right? So you need to be at a stage, and you could be 16 when you're on that stage, or you could be 55, right? But at the stage where practically, emotionally, as well as rationally, you're prepared for entrepreneurship, you feel you have at least the basic skill set it needs to talk to customers, to get customers on board, to build out a team, the leadership skills that you need for that. That is the correct time. Now that could happen after 50 years of work X, it could happen with no years of work X. But that feeling you need to very strongly have. So I mean that's how I would say is when is the correct time to be an entrepreneur.
I think I just have one last question, with your permission. Maybe let's say 5 years down the line, or maybe let's say 2 years down the line, or 3 when we meet up. We'd like to reflect on this one. But let me ask you this question, maybe as the last question to this, I think first interaction of BabyChakra. So who do you feel most responsibility in the order of priority? To yourself, to your employees, to your customers, and to the people who are well-wishers. Well-wishers, I mean, it can be funding people, or the people who have loaned money to you, or anyone. And definitely, last one is the family. So who do you feel the most responsible? And you feel all the time responsible to. Maybe when I say in the order of priority, it doesn't mean that other people are less important, but definitely because you have to start making a starting point. So what can be that starting? You feel very responsible to yourself, to your family, to customers, employees, or your well-wishers. Well-wishers, I mean, not apart from these four people, three set of people, right? Especially the funding people, or maybe the banks who loaned you, or somebody who's given you space in this case, or anyone. So who do you feel the most responsible?
See, actually, it's very interesting, and quite frankly, what we've experienced over the last 9 months, there are a few people who've been with us all throughout. And by few people, I'm not referring to family members. I'm talking about people who've been working with us. And
you don't feel
it's difficult to disassociate themselves. For us to disassociate ourselves from viewing them as family. I mean, I don't know how to explain this, but if we're living, breathing, eating BabyChakra every single day, and we're working with those people, I can't put them secondary to my own family. So I'm gonna look at them in the same breath, to be quite honest. And I think our biggest responsibility is towards them. And I wouldn't say that I'm completely selfish, because I would be lying if I say that. But I think what goes out comes back. And I've seen this in the past. I think your relationships with people really come back and help you at a stage when you least expect it. You don't have to be tied to an organization or an institution for that law to work. So I believe the reason why I would really prioritize my employees, my customers, my consumers is because I know for a fact that if I don't do my best to take care of them, it's going to come back and hit me in some way or the other. And perhaps that's the reason why I'll do it, because I care about where I need to be and who I will be after 5 years.
Right, absolutely. So in other words, can I just to paraphrase, that your team, the people that you're working with, or who have been working with, they always become your alter ego.
Yeah.
When you see yourself in
that.
Yeah,
I'll give an example. There are interns who work with us. We have involved them, and they worked with us in December. One of them worked with us in Jan, and we are in August right now. Every time we celebrate achievement of any milestone, they are part of that process. We make sure that they're the first ones to get to know, because they've been there with us right in the beginning, and they've literally put their faith in us. So even though they're not physically working with us right now, it's very naturally.
Because they've taken that leap of faith.
Yeah, because somebody might have created a wireframe for us back in December, and the entire website is doing so well right now. He's always there. He's like, he's part of the team for us. And I think he's gone on to join other organizations right now, which are much bigger.
Right.
But
Fair enough, yeah.
it's just, And that's what I meant by saying
They still can stay connected.
it comes naturally, because that's a sort of a feeling which I'll have towards any family member as well.
Wonderful. I think you're his man, in terms of response, whom do you feel? Of course, definitely, not like you said, not qualifying in a sense, other people are less important, but then definitely you as an individual, as a people, somebody who's responsible entrepreneur, you feel, I think, first responsible in this one.
I think so with the 5 individual, like the 5 sort of categories you laid out, I mean, I've had different feelings of responsibility and prioritizing responsibility among them at different times. Like I said, I think for me, it's BabyChakra, that's my first responsibility right now, and whatever is best for the business, right? So if I do end up having an employee who is not the correct person for BabyChakra, then I'm sorry, but that person doesn't need to be part of the team, right? If my customer is not happy, and an employee can't keep that customer happy, then something needs to be figured out there, like in terms of prioritization, unless the employee is really not the best he or she could to make the customer happy, right? So if my family wants me for a family commitment, but I have work, I have an event happening, sorry, family takes a backseat. So whatever it takes to ensure that BabyChakra does well, right now that is what my focus is at. And I've been very fortunate in having like a set of really supportive people, both personally and professionally, who understand that, right? And they respect that. And they understand that sometimes if things aren't going as per the milestones we've set or what BabyChakra needs to be, and then there's the repercussions to that, then there's a reason I'm doing it, because that's sort of what I'm holding myself to. And I hold myself to the same standard. If I'm not doing something appropriately for BabyChakra, then I need to figure out my stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's how I think about it.
I think thank you so much, both of you, and congratulations, and entire ET Cases teams joined me. Congratulations, both of you, and then hope to revisit this entire story maybe one of years or maybe 1 year down the line, and then look at what the kind of progress that we have made. And then we would like to keep this series with your permission and with your, wish also, we would like to keep it. And thank you once again, both of you. And we wish to say that this grows, and really what you said in the beginning, that it really revolutionizes the parenting, the world of parenting, not just in India, but the rest of the world, because this is definitely universal, there's no doubt about it. So I think I really wish, and thank you once again, both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us over, and it's been our pleasure and privilege. Thank you.